What's up, everybody? Happy holidays from the Fantasy Flex podcast from the Action Network and Fantasy Labs. I'm your host, Chris Raybon. This is NFL Week 17, our player projections episode. We're going to go over each position, guys that we are high and low on, our top five, as well as throw out some props. And as always, I am joined by the most accurate ranker in the game, the odds maker, Sean Kerner. Sean, happy holidays. How's it going?
Happy holidays. Going well. Happy finals week. This is championship week. Kind of a bizarre schedule. I guess you'd call it discombobulated with two games tomorrow. But our projections are going to be as sharp as ever, and hopefully we can bring home some ships this week.
Hell yeah. And we'll get it started with QB and top five for week 17 championship. We used to be week 16, but what's your top five for week number 17?
Let's see. I got Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, and Jalen Hurts, assuming he suits up.
Yeah, I got Allen, Jackson, Daniels, Burrow, and Mayfield, and then Hurts sixth because I'm just docking him a little bit. But yeah, if he's good to go, he would overtake Baker for that fifth spot. Who you high on?
I'm high on Justin Herbert this week, coming off a nice 284-yard game, 2 touchdowns. But he also chipped in 28 rushing yards, and he's been nursing that ankle injury. I know you were on his rushing prop a couple weeks ago. He had 0 yards. So it was just nice to see. It was just nice to see him, using his legs a bit more. Maybe the ankle's feeling better. And now that, they played Thursday night, so he should have plenty of time to probably be closer to 100% for their game on Saturday. So I'm assuming he'll be able to tap into his rushing upside a bit more here, which is always nice for his fantasy value. But, this is a game where he might not need to throw for, over 280 yards against the Patriots. But I think he is a decent bet here to throw for multiple touchdowns. I'll talk about it later, but I think this is a great spot for Ladd McConkey too. So I'm a little bit higher on Herbert than normal. This is in New England. From what I could tell, there's no weather. Again, it's early in the week, so you have to double check that. But assuming if the weather holds, he'll be inside my top 12 for this week.
Yeah, it's I think there's a bunch of sharp money coming in on the Patriots too, so it could be a closer game, which would benefit the passing game as well. But yeah, McConkey has to go off because that's their man beater right there. He's probably going to go for like $150. All right, I like Bo Nix this week. He's going up against the Bengals defense, and the Bengals defense is not good. One of the worst defenses in the league, 27th against the pass in DVOA. And I went back and looked at all Bo Nix's starts this year and broke them up into the ones against above average pass defenses in DVOA and the ones against below average. So against above average, he faced 8. The Broncos averaged 19.6 points per game. Bo Nix averaged 199 passing yards with 5.9 yards in attempt, 9 touchdowns, 9 picks. Not very good. Against below average pass defenses, 7 matchups, 29.4 points per game for the Broncos. Bo Nix, 234 yards per game, 13 touchdowns, 2 picks, 3 more rushing touchdowns. Also, 7-0 straight up and against the spread. So it's just a completely different quarterback when playing against a bad defense. That's when Sean Payton can kind of hold his hand. And Sean Payton came out just in his bag on that Thursday night game. That game really turned when they had the free kick for the first time in 4 decades. But just his play calling on those first couple of drives. And now he's got extra time to prepare for one of the worst defenses in the league. So I think this is going to be another good Bo Nix spot here, and maybe even get into a little shootout with Joe Burrow on the other side.
Yeah, it's been nice to see his rushing stats come back-to-back games with 20 or more rushing yards with multiple touchdowns in both games too. So yeah, he's definitely solidified himself as a top 10 option this week.
All right, who are you low on at the quarterback position for week 17?
Well, you definitely sniped the guy I'm really low on, so I'm going to double up on who you give out. But okay. I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford here. And, he's tricky because any given week he can go off for, 300 yards, multiple touchdowns. But he has 0 rushing upside and just a lower floor if the Rams do get into a leading run-heavy game script like we've seen the past 2 weeks. I mean, his floor is down there, so he's had a rough stretch here. But this is another game. The Rams are 6-point favorites, so they should be able to get away just leaning on the run game here, leaning on their defense. So, Stafford has a lower floor this week. He's still, a solid option, I think, in 2 QB super flex formats. But ideally, you're not banking on him in one quarterback leagues where sometimes, he has the upside to be, my top 12. But right now, he's down to QB 17. So this is a week where I think he's more for like 2 QB leagues.
Yeah, the Rams are 4.4% below pass rate below expectation, and that's kind of trending in the wrong direction if you want to start Stafford, because they are just spamming Kyron Williams, just giving him as many carries as he can possibly handle, and they're doing it like there's actually I think it was a couple of weeks ago. Oh, it was against the Saints when Sean McVay apparently told his team at halftime that he was just going to call like a run after run in the second half, and he's been doing that pretty much ever since, except part of that Bills game. But yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Yeah,
it's been working. Kyron's been playing great, but just so you guys know, you guys do have a 3rd-round talented rookie who could, spell him a little bit more if you so choose.
I mean, he gets his 5-6 carries.
Yeah, that's true.
Of the 35. Oh man, I'm low on Jordan Love. I'm guessing you are as well.
Yeah.
He's the top 10 quarterback in expert consensus. He's my quarterback 18 against Minnesota, and it's not really a knock on Love, but Green Bay has just become so run heavy, and they can run on anybody. So, yes, it's one of the few teams that beat them this year. I actually think they're in a good spot. They might be the better team now. Ever since that game, those two teams have kind of been going a little bit in opposite directions. The Packers have been getting even better. The Vikings have been coming down to earth a little bit, even though it doesn't show on their record. So I like Jordan Love here to not finish quite as high floor as he's been doing. The Vikings still do have a very good defense, but more so, it's just this team is running the football, and so you're not going to have as many chances with Jordan Love, and you're kind of banking on touchdown variance to go his way. And this is a divisional, second divisional matchup. Might not be as high scoring as the first one, even though it is indoors. So yeah, Jordan Love, he's my QB 18 to open the week. Where do you have him?
21. I don't like it either. Okay. If you look, the first matchup, he threw for like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like you said, it's not really a knock against him. They just have a lower team total. The running game is really cooking right now. That's why I was on his under 19.5 completions last night. It has nothing to do with him. And he was checking it down quite a bit. So, yeah, it just doesn't have as much upside this week. And he's one of those quarterbacks, doesn't really offer you a rushing floor. So if he doesn't throw for multiple touchdowns, you could be caught holding the bag this week.
Yeah, and I also think Sam Darnold is kind of getting lucky on some turnovers. Like if he turns the ball over, that could just be shorter fields, or a defensive score, which is what you don't want. So just just little factors kind of working against him that has him kind of outside that normal top 12, 15. All right, what are we doing for the quarterback prop?
Oh my God, I got a fun one for you. So this is an Anthony Richardson prop, okay? They're playing the Giants this week. I don't even know if they're going to have to throw the ball in this game. Let's go with his completions. I think I know what it will be in the book, but I won't give out that number. I'm going to give out 11.5.
Wow. The books will probably open like 14.5, I think.
No, if it's 14, that is I'll have to make some calls. No way they offer 14.5.
Really? I mean, that's what they've been doing every week. I guess it'll be lower now because
they have to give
Giants.
it 13.5. I think they'll make it 12.5, and like the under will be plus money or something. But I'm offering you 11.5 and seeing which way you want to go with this.
Yeah, I'm going over that. Like as much as I do not like Anthony Richardson's passing skills as a NFL quarterback, I mean I still have it around 13. What was he, 7 of 11 last week? It's on the road, but it's in MetLife, so you could have some wind, but man,
less reason to throw it.
How do you come back from 7? You got to rebound from 7, right? Like that's just regression. He had 17 on the road against Denver, so I think really what I think it might happen is the Colts, they could come out a little flat here. They had the big lead against Tennessee, and then they kind of sat on the ball. But now they could be in a position where they have to win, and on the road, team they should beat. could come out with a tight. So I think they might end up in a game script where they need to throw it more than 11 times.
Well,
oh my God! How bad are the Titans, man? This is really just it's more of a Titan indictment on the Titans because he only he completed 63.6% of his passes last week with those.
Yeah, I was in the Discord. I was offering live props of like the Colts' first play of the next drive. Run. I gave it -2. I don't even know what number it is, but I had like 9 zeros, and then I had a pass. A-Rich dropbacks to the pass was like +1 with like 10 zeros. And yeah, they ran it. And the Titans were just baffled. Like, oh my God, like Jonathan Taylor ran it. Oh, Anthony Richardson kept it. Like, just to have one guy back, make Anthony Richardson throw the ball 15 yards in the air and complete a pass. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Nah, Stuckey put it best. He said the Titans are a point shaving operation. And it's gotta be it's like there's no way they continue to do this.
Yeah.
Like this is what do they do? Score 7 and give up 38 straight? I mean,
and then almost backdoor cover again. I mean,
yeah. Because that's what they got to be a point shaving operation. They know how to play football, but they wait until they dig themselves into a hole that they can't not only win but cover. So it's just ridiculous.
Will Levis was the head of the operation, in my opinion. But
that's the crazy thing is like you sub him out. He was so bad. Anthony Richardson was statistically worse than much worse than Rudolph, and yet they're down 31 points at somehow. So yeah, gotta be. All right, let's go to running back top 5 week 17. We got.
Oh man, I love this top 5. Jahmyr Gibbs, number 1. Saquon Barkley, Chase Brown, Josh Jacobs, and Derrick Henry.
I got Saquon, Gibbs, Brown, Kyron Williams, and Bijan Robinson.
Nice. No Henry.
A little different.
That's the only no Henry.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I do have him playing a bunch more early downs, but who's he playing? The Texans, right? Yeah, Texans are pretty decent defense. I mean, I know they got some issues on the back end now, but one of the better defenses. Not like a smash spot, but yeah. I mean, Kyron's just getting so many carries that he's just jumping up, and then Bijan against that Washington run D like that too. So yeah, a lot of good spots this week. Yeah. Who you high on?
I'm high on Aaron Jones. His usage has been up and down lately. He was a guy I was down on a few weeks ago just because, he was benched in game due to his ongoing fumbling issues. But last week, he was in that true workhorse role, dominated both the rushing usage and passing usage. And Cam Akers saw the fewest snaps since joining the Vikings last week. So I think that trend continues here in what's just a massive divisional game against the Packers. So it's a revenge game for Jones. And we saw them giving him a spike in usage that week. I think the coaching staff realized, it's a revenge game. Let's get him extra work. And he totaled over 130 yards that game. So he's going to be up for this game. He's getting that massive workload. So, he's low-end RB1 for me this week. And another guy that's a low-end RB1, he's actually in my top 10, I think, for the first time this year. It was one of my favorite rookie running backs landing spots this year, Bucky Irving. And I thought, I was like, he might push Rachaad White to be more of a 50-50 committee, which he did fairly early on, but I didn't see him being this freaking good and just basically taking over as the workhorse back, even with Rachaad White healthy. Last week he saw his highest share of rush attempts, and continues to see enough routes to average, around 3 catches a game. That's what I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be more of a pass catching back. So I think he could do it all. And now that Rachaad White had that, that really costly fumble at the end of the game, I think he's going to get even more work this week. And it's against the Panthers. So he is a top 10 running back in championship week. I could not be happier about that.
Yeah, it's actually funny because I always see each other's projections in the sheet, and I just remember last week I think it was like just seeing your Bucky Irving carry projection like go up as the week progressed. Like it started out at like 10.9, and it's like 12.8, 13.
Well, he's been dealing with that. He's been dealing with that that stupid back injury, right? So just the more good reports I get, the more I'm going to bump it up. But yeah, Bucky's one of those players where the more I look at him, the more I watch him, the more I love him. He's just so good. I know you were talking about like the longest rush prop for him. Like
every
just
week he
hit that every week.
He just busts off I think he had like 43 yards in 3 out of 4 games or something. Yeah, just ridiculous. I'm high on Brian Robinson Jr. this week. He is going against the Falcons, home favorite, and he with Austin Eckler out. I don't think a lot of people realize that he's seen a pretty decent uptick in passing game usage. So he's at about 48-50% route rate in the 2 games since the bye, and that's kind of around the number Eckler was getting. So he's catching 2-3 balls instead of his usual like 1 catch for 8 yards. So that kind of helps his floor a little bit, and then you have him getting about 80% of the backfield touches in competitive games, and this is a game with a 4-point spread, home favorite. So I know there's been a lot of variance with some blowouts, some McNichols, Rodriguez, but in these more competitive games, and if they blow him out, Robinson should be a big part of the reason why anyway. So I like him in this spot. He's kind of been quiet, hasn't really been talked about, but still one of the more talented backs when you watch the tape on the season, still running strong. So him with no Eckler in that Washington backfield. So he's a top 15 back for me this week. All right, let's go to running backs. We are low on. Who you got?
I got Tony Pollard, who's just been playing through a nagging ankle injury for seems like months now. And I figured last week, we could see Tajay Spears start to see more work, just considering it doesn't make sense to keep giving Pollard massive workloads when he's clearly not 100% and they have nothing to play for. Yeah, I mean, other than the point shaving operation, I guess. But, last week, Pollard saw a season low in rush attempt share, only rushed 8 times. I think that continues this week. Maybe we see them, more of a 50-50 committee going forward. But he could bounce back here. This is an easy spot, of course, against the Jaguars. But again, I think if they're splitting the workload, there's just not enough to go around to really like Pollard. So I think he's a dicey running back 3 flex option as opposed to he was a fringe RB1 for quite a bit of the season. I think he helped a lot of people get to the playoffs. But I think it might be time to let somebody else take you to the championship if you have other options. But I'm just a little bit lower on Pollard this week than I usually am.
Guy never practices. Like DMP, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But the thing I'm scared about is, so I saw somebody talking about how, Titans beat writer, I believe it was, that he has a bunch of like incentives that are within reach. So like I hope they weren't just like resting him last game and now they're gonna bust it, like, because the Titans would do some like nonsensical crap like that. So I got make sure you kind of keep up on that, because like I do know he has like a bunch of incentives within reach, like scrimmage yards, rushing yards, touchdowns. I think he got like 2 more touchdowns. I think he needs it's something for 11 and 1,300 scrimmage yards. So that's
good
weird,
to know. And they probably want to let him try to get those. Maybe that's why he's plowing through this injury. But that's good. And maybe that's what I'm just kind of highlighting as a guy that we need to like circle back on later in the week.
I have him. I'm way low on him too. I'm like,
what do you have him at right now?
Yeah, like RB26.
Yeah, that's where I have him. And it sucks because again, like for a lot of the season, he was, pushing RB1 value. So I could see how people just get complacent just starting him no matter what, which I don't fault you. But right now it's kind of murky. But with these incentives, that could make sense why he's pushing through this ankle injury and wants to get a couple more touchdowns, more yards. So that could be a reason for him to put up more good numbers this week.
Yeah, I guess the Titans. Who knows? But yeah,
exactly.
I agree.
He should be
projected. Yeah, he should be projected lower because Spears did heavily cut in last week. Couple kind of similar situations, minus the injuries, but Najee Harris is the guy I'm low on. He's still just right outside the top 30. He's my RB36. He's trended down because he had that fumble a couple weeks ago, and now he's in a position where he's really started to lose the grip on that backfield to Jaylen Warren. It started with the passing down work was going lower and lower each week, and then it started the carries, and he was getting 60% of the backfield carries, and then 55 and 52, and it's just getting lower and lower. Now you're facing a Chiefs defense that is very, very good against the run. So it favors more if you like a speedy back, a guy who could create a little bit more that way in Jaylen Warren. And then Cordell Patterson starting to mix in a little too. He caught a touchdown last week as well. So Najee's kind of getting squeezed on both ends here. And he's just not, in the past, he would just kind of get these, 20, 25 carries and just power through it. But now he's in the Chiefs. I mean, it's a spot where the Steelers could pull off the upset, but getting those 20 carries is kind of on the low range of expectations this week. And that's what he kind of needs without much passing game work. And then Javonte Williams, I mean, he's the RB34 in ECR. Like, why? Like, every week we see them purposely just not trying to give him carries. Like, the Broncos literally scripted up like every single player on their team, like except Javonte Williams, to get like multiple carries on their first drive last week. It was like nuts. So yeah, I think it's going to be a group effort whether McLaughlin is healthy or not. They were using Blake Watson like he was McLaughlin last week. So I think Javonte is going to continue to be the passing down back. He's going to get probably 50% of those snaps, but that's game script dependent. Should be decent in this game, but still, if you're not getting carries as a running back, or at least not enough carries, that's just not ideal, especially for a guy in the top 36. I mean, I'd much rather have a guy like Tyjae Spears that has more of that upside to cut in. And Javonte, I mean, he's battling not even two running backs, but also Marvin Mims is taking a handful of snaps in the backfield every game now. So Javonte Williams, I'm out on him again this week. All right, let's go running back prop. Let's go to the Chiefs backfield since we didn't talk about that one.
No, you didn't.
Oh yes. And we talked about the Wednesday one. Yeah, we talked about it on the other pod.
All right, I've had time to make projections, so let's see what you got.
See what you got. All right. So let's go with let's just go with fantasy points. I'll make Isaiah Pacheco the favorite by a half a point over Kareem Hunt.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty good line.
Half PPR.
Yeah, half PPR, half point, so one catch. Yep. I got Pacheco by 0.9. Who would be so there? I'll go with Pacheco. I'm locking that in. Who's more likely to get the goal line carry if one arises? Just whoever happens to be out there, right?
Hunt. Probably Hunt. I mean, remember Pacheco always had those struggles with the goal line. Like he was getting stuffed. Yeah, so I think it's.
I noticed that. So I lowered Pacheco's like touchdown, projection and stuff, and I still have him like 0.9. I think that's a great line. Again, it just seems like they're kind of just rotating him just by snaps, not even like situational. But I think Pacheco's going to break out here over the next couple games, and his playing time will probably go up. So I'll lean him. But that's a great line. It's probably closer than it should be. Like people, I have
0.3. So like a consensus, we're at 0.6, which is like a 0.1 over to Pacheco.
So you have them close, but where are they? Because I have both like just outside of the my top 35.
Yeah, I have Pacheco 34 and Hunt 35.
Yeah. So that's
right there.
If you were hanging on to Pacheco thinking you're going to use him in the fantasy championship, you're probably not, right?
I mean, unless it's deeper league or it's. Well, if I have him about 11 carries and about a catch and a half. Just
so like if it's between him and Jerome Ford, that's an easy call, Ford. But if it's him and Javonte Williams, obviously going with Pacheco or Hunt. But it kind of depends.
Why are we doing this with Javonte Williams? Like we saw what we needed to see. Like if the guy who was supposed to be the starter is out and Javonte still wasn't getting carries, like. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought you were going to offer. That was a great prop, and like that's probably a sit-start decision some people need to make. I thought you were going to give Javonte versus like Blake Watson and Marvin Mims rushing yards.
I was thinking of going like maybe like a Javonte versus like Najee or something. Like all these backs who are kind of losing their jobs, but I was like, we got to do the Chiefs just because it's the first game up, and it's like it was like a pretty much 50-50 kind of thing if you just look at the numbers. So yeah.
Javonte
that's a tough one.
Javonte total touches versus Anthony Richardson completions. Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh, Anthony Richardson all day.
Yeah.
Because like,
you're
I
probably
don't know
right.
if they're gonna give him more than like 5-ish carries, especially if McLaughlin is healthy.
I
Like,
don't know if
that's
Richardson's going
yeah,
to get 5 or more
yeah.
completions. We'll see, though.
Hey, 64% last week, man.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to wide receiver, week 17. Who you got, Sean? Top 5.
Jamar Chase, Puka Nakua, Nico Collins, Justin Jefferson, Brian Thomas Jr., baby, number 5.
Oh, wow. Woo!
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes some slight tweaks, but he's there. He's there now.
I got Chase, Nakua, Jefferson, Nico, and Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Kind of trusty top 5.
He's probably actually
same
5.
old.
But it's so close. I had to give the tie to Brian Thomas Jr.
Who are you high on? I'm guessing Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, I guess I'm Brian Thomas Jr. So I'm high on 2 rookies that I think I targeted the most at ADP just because they were 2 rookies. I love their upside outside the top 40. And they're both inside my top 10 for championship week. So it could not be better timing with these 2 guys. The first one, of course, is Brian Thomas Jr., who's actually my wide receiver 6. I was fibbing a little there. But he was my favorite rookie wide receiver. I comped him to Randy Moss. Didn't realize he was going to be actually like almost as good as Randy Moss in year 1, but he's been great. He's definitely benefited from, Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, and Evan Ingram all just missing a ton of time this year. But he's overcome, poor quarterback play. He's had Mac Jones throwing the ball the past few games. So he's looked great. He's a must start every week. For some reason, I saw people debating him and like sit start calls. I don't know what that's about. But if you have Brian Thomas Jr., you're starting him, especially this week. I guess the one concern would be, the Jaguars are favorites this week. They're playing the Titans that can't stop anybody. So it'll probably be a more run-heavy game plan. Maybe, Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne have big games. But I still think, Brian Thomas Jr. is a lock for a handful of catches. He has massive touchdown upside. So I think if you're in the finals, you got to trust this guy. Roll him out there. And the other rookie that's just having a fantastic season is Ladd McConkey. I knew he was a versatile receiver that could eat up a lot of these targets left behind by Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, but he's just been insanely good. And he's going to be a wide receiver 1 option for years to come, it looks like. And I love this week 17 matchup. You mentioned it. He's the Chargers man beater, and the Patriots use man coverage at the second highest rate. Plus, McConkey lines up in the slot most of the time, so he should be able to avoid Christian Gonzalez here. So I think this is an excellent matchup. He's averaging 3.4 yards per route run against man, ranked 6th among, qualified wide receivers. So he opens the week as my wide receiver 8. And he's been banged up a bit. Another guy that's going to benefit from like an extended break. They played Thursday. So hopefully, he's a lot closer to 100% here.
Yeah, he's like they're so far and away better versus man coverage than any of their other receivers. That he should be getting 10 catches this game. Like that's kind of that's really what they should not target anyone else if they can help it.
Yeah.
I am high on let's go with a guy a little bit further down the list, but I want to point him out just because I think he has like massive upside if you're maybe a big underdog or just in a super deep league. But Marvin Mims Jr., just the way he's starting to be used, in the backfield. So he's getting like some high percentage targets, but also still uses a downfield receiver. So and then they were using him right around the goal line as well, but he got stopped just outside the goal line in that Thursday night game. So has some touchdown equity unrealized as well. So he's really been trending up, and he's starting to see, inch toward about 50% of the team routes per dropback. So he's a guy that, whether it's even if it's not season long, if it's maybe a DFS play, maybe it's props, but Marvin Mims definitely needs to be on people's radar because they're just. And Sean Payton actually said it. He was like, I can't believe we didn't use him, like get him more involved sooner. And sure enough, he has increased his usage, and it's little Jordan Humphrey just less and less every week, which is probably a good thing. So now you got this potential shootout with the Cincinnati Bengals, one of the worst pass defense. I already talked about Bo Nix, and now he has success against kind of bottom half pass defenses. So this could be a really interesting spot for from Marvin Mims. If there's anyone that could kind of come from outside the top, 40-ish or so and finish as like a top 5, top 10 receiver this week, I think Marvin Mims is the guy. So he's right, just right at like inching into my top 50. He's like my wide receiver 51. But just thought I'd point him out because he's 68th in consensus. I think that's way too low.
Yeah, way too low.
All right. Speaking of low, who are you low on at wide receiver this week?
I'm low on Cooper Kupp this week, and he's really hit rock bottom heading into week 17. Bad time to hit rock bottom, I might add. But he followed up his 0-catch dud in week 15 with another dud last week. 3 balls for 24 yards against the Jets. And a lot of the dip in production is kind of what I was talking about with Stafford. These just have been more run-heavy game scripts where the Rams haven't needed to throw the ball, and they've been winning. So that's hurt Kupp. But also, it's just Puka Nacua just getting absolutely insane usage. He's had a 40% target rate over the last 5 games. It's hard for anybody to command targets when you have a player like that alongside you. So, and Puka, his playing time is kind of limited. He's been playing through injuries, but his playing time has been going up. And last week he ran a route on all 100% of Matthew Stafford dropbacks. So just seeing more playing time, it's like, what the hell can Cooper Kupp do at that point? So, and Tyler Higbee returned last week. I'm guessing his playing time will only go up. He's probably going to command more targets than Colby Parkinson and, the ragtag guys they had in place of Higbee. So that's going to ding Kupp even more. And this is a game where the Rams are 6-point favorites, probably going to lean on the run heavily here. So Kupp's the guy that he's all the way down to wide receiver 28 for me. So in a lot of leagues, you might have to bench him in the finals, which sounds crazy. He does have upside, and yeah, he could put up some points on your bench, but right now he's really tough to trust.
Yeah, that's where he is for me too. It's because they kind of switched him and Nakua's roles. Like Nacua has that old Kupp role where he doesn't come off the field, and Kupp is just like more of a traditional slot receiver now. So like if sometimes he comes off the field if they're not in 1-1, like Robinson will stay on, or they'll go with Atwell or something. So it's just, he's not, his route rate per dropback is down to the high 70s, low 80s, where it used to be, in the 90s. So it's all game script with him. Like if they get in a pass heavy game script, he might jump back up to like 90%. But like you said, 6-point favorites against the Cardinals. Cardinals are eliminated. So who knows if that's going to happen. They just want to run the ball in LA. I am low on a couple of guys. Amari Cooper again. I mean, he's outside of my top 60. He's still inside the top 50. I don't know why. I mean, he had a 53% route rate last week, 53% route rate average with Buffalo, and now Buffalo's receiving core is healthy outside of Curtis Samuel, who probably will be back this week anyway. But you have Coleman healthy. You have Mac Hollins still running more routes than both of them. And then you have Khalil Shakir starting to see a little bit of uptick in playing time as well. So Amari Cooper is just like a rotational receiver at this point. He's averaging 2.4 catches, 34.4 yards with Buffalo. So I guess it could get worse than it was in Cleveland earlier this year with Cooper, because he's just not seeing enough playing time. Every once in a while we'll have these games where they kind of like spam target him, but you have no idea when those are going to be. And also Marquise Brown, I know everyone's excited about him. Like I was actually higher on him last week, higher than like the consensus. But this week it's like now everyone's in like top. He's like wide receiver 43, inching toward top 40. I know Andy Reid is like, oh, his playing time's gonna go up, but it's the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs receivers. Like, are we really gonna do this again? We just had Isaiah Pacheco. Like we just had DeAndre Hopkins. We just see these guys playing like half the snaps that everyone expects them to play. So short rest, short week. The issue, like Brown, admittedly was working into football shape. He ran, I think it was 14 routes or 16 routes last week. Could see an uptick and still not be any like relevant playing time. Like, he's going to have to get a ton of targets. And that's what he did in his first game. He got a ton of targets per route, kind of like Amari Cooper. And then what happened? You see that same usage or a little bit, even an uptick, but you get your normal target rate. And so it's like, I don't think we should be trusting him. Like he's, DFS kind of dart throw, maybe anytime touchdown bet or something like that. But I don't think he should be kind of going up into that wide receiver 40 range. There are still guys that you can project for like 90% of routes in that range. That maybe maybe they had some variance, but this is just more variance, right? This is just shiny new toys. So yeah, I think we're a little too high on him. Watch him go for like a 90-yard touchdown.
Oh yeah, of course. But did you see his receptions prop?
Is it 4.5 or 5.5?
Oh God, no, 3.5. I thought 3.5 was high. 4.5.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, you said
Well, he got 5 catches last. He got 5 catches last week. Yeah. How could you take under 3.5? But my projections, I think if you look at the consensus projections in the tool, it's a code red 10 play on the under.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah, I wouldn't fade his yards. It would be his receptions because it's playing time's the issue here. But yeah, 3.5 seemed high, and I agree. I'm way lower on him than the consensus right now. He's a potential dart throw in DFS, like long shot play, but it's hard to trust him. Like inside your top 50 right now for sure.
Yeah, he's my wide receiver 68, and I haven't projected for 2.8 catches right now. I mean, that's how fair. Much. I mean, yeah, this is just how we do it, Chiefs receivers until we see it. Like if we see him get 80% of a snap rate, then sure. But they they could say they're increasing it, and it could go from what was it last week, like 30 something, 40 something. It was 33% route rate last week.
33.
So he could increase and still be below 50%.
Thoughts on Justin Watson at a half yard? You're gonna do your Ray McLeod.
Oh, it went down. It was I saw 2.5 earlier this week.
Oh, he's either going for 0 or 15 plus, right? So they're just trying to get people to bet the over, and he'll finish with 0 probably.
Yeah, I mean he did run the most routes out of that 3 of like Brown, Watson, Juju, but that kind of varies game to game, and yeah, he's out there running wind sprints half the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably go under that. Prop, what you got?
Let's go with Justin Watson. I'm just kidding. This is a fun, just head to head. Which wide receiver will have more half PPR points?
Okay.
If they tie, you get to win. CeeDee Lamb or Jackson Smith-Njigba, straight up.
Oh,
no
JSN.
Spread.
Damn it. I'm like, what? Why is that supposed to be
that is a trap line. Where do you have CD ranked?
20th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
he's
a
little banged up. I mean, he's a little banged up. I just don't like this matchup for Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean, Cooper Rush, he was borderline inching toward the top 20 quarterbacks these last few weeks. He's like QB 32, just off the strength of this Philly matchup. And I'm like, well, holy crap! Like, there's like a lot of bad quarterbacks playing this week. But Cooper Rush is
that's
QB 32.
This could be a sit-start decision that somebody out there listening has. And if you made the championship, you probably have really good wide receivers. So I could absolutely see somebody having to who do I start, CeeDee Lamb or JSN? Because I already have, Justin Jefferson and Nico Collins or whatever. I agree. I think I would go JSN here. I was hoping that you would take CD. Yep.
So they changed their offense around midseason, and it was week 8. So from week 8 on, JSN's receiving yardage totals or targets in yards: 7 for 69, 12 for 180, 11 for 110, 6 for 77, 4 for 74, 5 for 82, 12 for 83, 12 for 95. Yeah. So he is just getting, and they just replaced like half of or 3/4 of Tyler Lockett's old workload. Yeah, that's just more JSN.
I figured this was coming. He was dollar store Amon-Ra St. Brown, and now he's just Amon-Ra St. Brown. I was going to ask you, Tyler Lockett's downfall is real. It's crazy projecting him now. Is that mainly due to JSN just going off?
Yes.
Or Tyler Lockett just being horrible, or both?
It's more so just kind of it. Like, he's just a better player, so they're just kind of phasing him out. Like they just around midseason they went to more heavy personnel. Like I think you were talking about Barner, right?
Oh,
yeah. So they're using him a little bit more. Farrell Brown, I saw him make a weeping catch last game. So, they're just using more tight ends, less 3 receiver sets, and that's allowed JSN to just be on the field, 95%, and they're targeting him on 25% of his routes now. So Lockett, if you just look at, I actually have that's why I'm always usually high on JSN every week, because I literally have been adjusting his targets per route just based on starting in week 8 and like not like
yeah,
fully,
that
but,
makes
like
sense.
with a regressed like upward trend. And Lockett, he completely correlates where I think he's under 10% targets per route in that same span.
That's
so
what I'm saying.
It's the playing time. It's also the straight up. Like he's just Gino's not looking. He's not in the read. He's not in the progression the same way he used to be. That's the best way to say
exactly.
it. Yeah. No, JSN. If people haven't realized, like this guy's he's like top 12 every week at this point. I mean, he's like borderline top 12 every week.
He's a beast. Yep. The game might have like a bunch of rain. We'll see.
Yeah, but he's underneath. He gets a lot underneath targets though, so
shouldn't impact.
Like I mean, they said that last week, and then he had Metcalf long touchdown, Justin Jefferson 2 touchdowns, Jordan Addison touchdown. Like rain itself is like it's not. It's like when we went get the wind and all that stuff. But yeah, definitely want to monitor that, but wouldn't worry as much about like the underneath targets. All right, so let me mark that down. Yeah, and Wham, I mean, that's something to monitor just because he did see a little bit of a decrease in snap rate and he's banged up and he keeps saying he's banged up. So at some point, maybe I don't know if they just
play for. I mean,
yeah. So it's something to monitor. I mean, still top 20 and with top 1 overall upside, but a little bit shakier than he should be, and just a tough matchup against Philly. All right, tight end top 5 we got.
Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, George Kittle, Travis Kelce, and Sam Laporta.
I got Bowers, McBride, Kittle, Kelce, and Jonnu Smith, baby. Can't leave him out.
Can't.
Yeah, Laporta's right there is my number 6. Most people are just knocking Kelce down. He still gets top 5 in my mind. I mean, he's still running around about 85% of the time. It's really hard to knock him out based on a few bad games. I mean, tight end is so volatile. Like 1 week, it's like everyone's high on McBride and he posted dud. Then it's Bowers, and it's like how tight end is.
Move. Can't get him right.
Fryer. Yeah. The minute you shouted him out, you're like, I'm gonna rank him higher this week. Not like
I was still lower than ECR, but not like 9 slots lower like normal. I wish.
Yeah. Tight end. That's kind of why Kelce. He just, I mean, my model definitely still takes his body of work into account to some degree, even though we're late in the season. You don't just completely lose the fact that you're Travis Kelce. He's still top 5 for me. But who you high on?
I'm high on Hunter Henry again this week. I was high on him last week. Cashed in with a solid 4 catches for 39 yards. That's basically his standard line at this point. But he scored a touchdown. And I said he was due for some positive touchdown regression. Finally got it. Doesn't mean he's going to score this week. But pretty much the same projection for him this week. So he's my tight end 7, and he's been just a really steady target for Drake May with the running back and wide receiver usage constantly in flux with them. He and Austin Hooper have been really steady at the tight end position, so I'm high on both actually. But yeah, once again, Hunter Henry opens up inside my top 10 in his ECR. He's like outside of the top 10 in ECR like every week. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, tight end 13 right now. So I have no problem being high once again on Hunter Henry.
You said he had 4 for 39 last week? That's crazy because my model right now, I have him projected for exactly 4 for 38.
Right, that's what he is the most steady. It's just like he just needs those touchdowns. But yeah, like he's 4 for 38 every week. We're both projecting him right there this week. Oh, I forgot to say, this is a revenge game too. So we might have to bump it up a little bit. Maybe 5 catches for 45 yards or something like that. But just again, you kind of mentioned it with, Travis Kelce still being like a top 5 tight end. Just the tight end position has been extremely volatile, a crapshoot every week. So getting, solid, consistent production from Henry, I think has been overlooked. And Drake May's been playing well too. So,
very well.
Yeah. So I have no problem investing in this offense in certain players, and Henry's that guy for me right now.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of is the player.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Ramondre Stevenson, but
not anymore.
Douglas has kind
fumbled.
of been quiet. Yeah, he fumbled. Doesn't he always? Booty made a nice catch on that touchdown last week.
Booty looked good.
But Hooper, you're right. He's trending up. I got Hooper going inching toward 3 catches now, which is crazy considering he's a backup like number 2 tight end.
Yep. I've got him at 3 exactly. I'm with you on that.
Oh, I'm 2.9. I'm still saying okay. He's still number 2 tight end, so there is some variance there. But yeah, no, his route rate has been up to like in like the 60s, which is like, coming out of the bye, they uptick for him and just said, Jalen Polk, we're giving up on you, and they stopped using as many receiver sets. All right, who am I high? Oh, Juwan Johnson. He has no quarterback, but like we talked about, the tight end position is volatile. So once you get outside that top, 10, 11, 12 guys, I mean, it's a crapshoot. I think Juwan is kind of sneaky this week. He's running around on about 75% of the dropbacks, and the Vegas Raiders have just been bad against tight ends. They're number 24 in DVOA against the position. They're allowing the fourth most schedule adjusted receiving yards per game, 64.4 per FTN. And with Max Crosby no longer there, it's not like the tight end, and it probably would be Morrow anyway, but it's not like the tight end's going to have to chip as much or do anything. Like, they could just get straight out into the routes. So maybe we get Olave back this week, but I actually think that would help just take some attention off Johnson, and people would just be on him even less. But I mean, my tight end projection for a guy like him is not really going to change. I actually have him tight end 13 with Olave in, so he might even climb a little bit more. And that's just kind of the state of this passing game, especially when you take out Kamara, who is just getting such a high target rate per route of, I think it was like over 30%, or close to there. So like, now he's gone. You got Kendre Miller and Jordan Mims, and just, I mean, the ball could go anywhere in New Orleans, and Johnson's kind of at the top of that list. So like him, like the matchup this week, kind of a sneaky post-hype guy. Who are you low on, though?
Yeah, I'm low on Tucker Kraft, who, coming off another solid game last night, 3 catches for 63 yards against the Saints. He's been a really steady low-end tight end one all season for people that scooped him up. Probably help people get to the playoffs and the championship. Who knows? But this is a tougher spot against the Vikings. And in this range, he has been more touchdown dependent than most tight ends. And this is a spot. It's just gonna be tougher for the Packers to get touchdowns. Their team totals right around 23.5, which is lower than it usually is. Plus, we mentioned they've just been pretty run heavy. I think they're going to try to run the ball even against the Vikings here. And Luke Musgrave returned last week. Kraft's still going to be the clear lead tight end for the foreseeable future, but Musgrave will probably eat into his snaps more than the other tight ends that have been filling in while Musgrave was on IR. So that could ding Kraft a little bit. So once again, I think if you're playing Kraft, he probably has to score a touchdown to hit, which he might. He's been solid in the red zone, but this is a tougher matchup to be banking on that. So he's all the way down to tight end 18 for me, but that could go up if like Christian Watson's ruled out. He'll probably go up a bit, but probably not inside my top 12. So if you've been banking on him, sure, you can roll the dice again that he'll score a touchdown. But if you have better options, like Juwan Johnson, I have Juwan Johnson ranked higher than him, probably a higher floor than Kraft this week. So this week, I'm much lower on Kraft than I'm usually ranking him.
Yeah, it's just that uncertainty with Musgrave because like we've seen games where Kraft still plays like 95 to 100%.
Yeah.
But it's just not as much of a guarantee as it was with Ben Sims and John Fitzpatrick as the top.
Was he a former quarterback? Or is he like?
That's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
No. I think I'm thinking of Felipe Franks.
Oh yeah, no, he's
John Fitzpatrick is the guy that's like 7 feet tall, right? Yeah, 6'7".
Yeah, he's the guy that his name is Fitzpatrick with a FIS, like a capital P for Patrick.
Yeah.
Fitz, capital P, Patrick. All right. I'm on Jake Ferguson this week for the Cowboys. Just another one of these guys gets caught up in this tough matchup for the Eagles against the Eagles. And the thing about Ferguson is he usually could be counted on to be out there, 80+% of the time, just get a bunch of snaps. Really hasn't paid off this year, but with tight ends, we always talk about that. You're just looking for the routes, and there's a lot of variance there. But now starting to see a slight downtick in his passing, in his usage, just 73% of the pass snaps last week, and he blocked a little more than usual too, at just a 58% route rate. So now against the Eagles, I mean, that's another situation where that he could be tasked to do that, and did see Schoonmaker have a good stretch with Ferguson out. Spanford is a younger guy that has they're a little bit intrigued in. So you could see this start to continue because Ferguson really hasn't had a great year catching the football anyway. Philly's number 4 in tight end in DVOA against tight ends, and they allow the second fewest schedule adjusted receiving yards at 38.2 per game. 2 tight ends per FTN, so just not a great matchup. He's down to my tight end 21. He's ECR tight end 14, but again, I just think for like in these spots, there's like you just rather attach yourself to like a guy in a better matchup, like Juwan Johnson, low team total as well, but like the Raiders are so bad against tight ends that he has like higher upside than I think like a guy like Ferguson against the Eagles defense. Like that's just, unless it's garbage time, I think it's going to be tougher. So yeah, down on him.
Yeah, same here. And I noticed that too. His snaps were down, but like it was just, he didn't really lose it to other tight ends. It was just less tight end snaps in general. They have like their 8 receivers, and Lipke and Dowdle's been more. He's been more involved in the passing game where, they would have 4 or 5 receivers out there and just no tight ends. So, they were just kind of phasing him out. I noticed that last week, and that's why I'm also like outside of the top 20. But that's kind of what's going on, right? Just using more spread formations, 4 or 5 wide receivers with the fullback.
Yeah, and that tends to increase when you have like a trailing, like they're 9.5 point underdog. So you tend to see less of the heavy personnel. Less like if you're in goal line in late, like in a trailing game script, you're more likely to have the receivers out there than like line up under center with 2-3 tight ends. So just all little things kind of working against him this week. All right, let's go prop tight end. Let's see. Oh, let's go with Chig. Let's go with Chig. Nice. He's been balling lately. Yeah. So curious to where you have his receiving yardage. I'll set the over under, and he's coming off what? He's coming off 81 yards on 9 catches and 59 on 8 catches. So 2 straight 10 plus target games. All right, I'm gonna set his median at, let's go with 36.5.
Oh damn! I thought I was gonna get a 4 in front of that, like the 40s. That's a good. Yeah, I'm right around there. I'll go under. I think a lot of the production has been due to just the Titans getting down by 1 million and then coming back. Maybe that happens again this week, but they are facing the Jaguars, so you think it'd be less likely. But yeah, he's been good. Where do you have him ranked?
Like tight end 14 or something like that. Like I'm gonna go because he's right around. He's right there. Still like it's still like it's still the Titans. So you can't ever be too confident. But I have him. Rudolph does tend to target the tight end a little bit more too. Yeah, that's also good.
Yeah, and I feel like Chig. This is a thing with him. Doesn't he always like tear it up in the final few weeks? It seems like he's always like really good to close out the season. So something to consider. But I love him this week. I think that's a great number, but I'll just lean towards the under here.
Yeah, it's like it's just there's a lot of variance there, and like if let's say Ridley or Westbrook Akina catches a long one, then it makes it a little tougher. Or if you don't get in that crazy trailing game script, so there's a lot of variance. But he's trending up. I noticed that ever since that game he had against the Texans, I think, where he had like a long touchdown. He's had a few. He's had a few games over these last few weeks. All right. That is going to do it for our NFL Week 17 player projections episode here on the Fantasy Flex. Make sure to subscribe to the Fantasy Flex pod so you don't miss an episode all season long. We're still going to be cranking out our player projections episode and our DFS breakdown every single week. Check out fantasylabs.com. That's where all of our fantasy content is. Flex 40 for $40 off right now. And you can find Sean on X at @_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Have a happy holidays, everybody, and let's get this shmoney.